What's happening, everyone? I am Dial here with some movie news, some very unfortunate movie news. Now, normally on this channel, I don't like getting into um, politics and the everyday news that's on Fox and CNN and all that stuff because this is a channel mainly about movies, right? So I wanted to specifically talk about this because this is one of the few times where I feel like the politics going on today is going to directly affect what's going on with the movies right now. And I'm hoping with this, it's not going to completely damage the filmmaking industry going forward. But this is something very significant that I wanted to put my 2 cents on. So for those of you living in the US, you guys know that President Donald Trump has decided to implement tariffs on certain territories, specifically with China. He decided to raise the tariffs to about, I think, 145%. Um, and so in retaliation, China is deciding to moderately reduce the release of Hollywood films that is imported there to China. So the reason why this is important for those of you who don't know that much about the movie going industry, China is one of the biggest markets for Hollywood films. Um, the U.S. tries to import as many films to China as possible because that's where, for a lot of the films that we have today, that's where a lot of the box office uh, that gets their money from is China. You know, like for example, some of the majority of the Transformers films, most of their money came from China. The Fast and Furious movies, the majority of their money came from China. The Godzilla, a good amount of their films come from China. So like getting China's revenue when it comes to the box office helps to not only get the film's profit but also to help Hollywood create more of the films that we love. Able to give them the budget that they need. So if China is going to moderately reduce the release of Hollywood films coming in, um, I think that will significantly affect how much money our films will be able to make at the box office. We would have to rely more on our domestic box office and obviously other territories as well, like of course in France and England and all the other stuff. They still count, but China, I think, impacts the box office the most when it comes to majority of the films, especially the blockbuster films. Because China, I think, enjoys the majority of the blockbuster films that come from the U.S., and that's how they're able to make a lot of money. But this is not good. This is really not good. If now they're not saying that they're going to cut the Hollywood films completely, but there's certain ones they're probably going to start reducing. Like they're not going to be able to they're not going to be able to play all of their films in China if they wanted to. China's probably only going to pick and choose what movies they want to do. They already do that already with certain films, but like it's going to be even more so with this. Like, unless you're something on the level of like James Cameron's Avatar or something like that, or I don't know, something else that could appeal internationally, maybe like Mario Brothers or something like that. Unless you're something like that, I feel like other Hollywood movies are going to have a hard time. They're not going to be able to be played in China, and it's going to affect how much of a profit they're going to make. I don't think it's going to completely like destroy them, but I think it's going to hurt in the long run. And eventually, with the other blockbusters and like other films that like take a lot for the budget, like I think if China's going to limit them, I think Hollywood is going to watch how much they spend on movies. Now that could be a good thing for a lot of it, because I do think that Hollywood does overspend on budgets. But at the same time, with other movies that people want to come that want to release, like some superhero movies or science fiction films or fantasy movies or something like that, Hollywood probably will have to watch how much resources they put on a film. It's not only with the production of the films, but also with marketing and merchandise and all that other stuff that will be affected if they can't put as much money as they want to in certain tentpole films. Or even it could affect them being able to make indie films, that, the smaller films, because big budget movies help to pay studios for people to be able to make smaller films. It's a symbiotic relationship. It's not one or the other. Big budget films need the big budget films are just as important as the indie films. Like, they need each other. You won't have one without the other. So if these big budget films aren't able to make a profit, there's not going to be much money that studio is going to be able to give to the smaller films. So this is probably just like a domino effect that's going to affect the industry in a negative way, and just I'm hoping that it doesn't hurt us too much to the point where we're not going to be able to get the stuff that we want in films anymore, or we're not going to be able to put as much resources into it as we would like. But I don't know, like, we probably won't feel the effect of this for a while. So I don't think this is something that's going to instantly like hit us, but probably the next couple of years or so, you probably will start seeing the effect of these tariffs. We're already feeling it with other stuff outside of the film industry, obviously with the economy and groceries and the auto industry. These tariff stuff is already affecting that, so it was only a matter of time for it to affect something as big of a market as movies. So I just hope we'll be able to get past this. I really do. I hope we'll be able to work through all this. Because like, I do question, like, what does it mean for big movies like Avatar and other stuff that plays overseas that rely on Chinese box office? How will they be affected by that? Will we even be able to get movies like that anymore after these tariffs are implemented? I don't know. I'm hoping. I'm not expecting the worst, but I'm preparing for the worst. But yeah, man, it's messed up world that we live in right now. And you guys know how much I love talking about film. It's a passion. I enjoy watching the big blockbusters just as much as the indie films. I like the franchises. I like the I like the smaller films. I like to see them all, and I want to see them all succeed. And I just hope that, like, going forward, it just nothing really changes as far as that. It's probably going to, but like, to not have those movies, that you not to see the industry crumble as much as it is. It's really hard to see. It's really hard to watch. And I could get into the politics of things, of how I feel about Donald Trump's decision making as of late, but I don't want to get into it on this channel, because obviously I just want to focus on the movies. But one day I want to make this a living, being able to talk about movies, being able to talk about stuff that I love. And it's stuff like this where, like, it could affect me continuing to do this in the near future. I don't know. This is the type of stuff I was worried about when the pandemic started, and the writer's strike and the actor's strike. So I don't know, and it's already cost a lot to go see these movies. And I'm sure that's going to go up. certain stuff's going to go up. Actually, having to go to the theater and see it. But yeah, I just pray that you know I just pray that things will get. I know things will get worse before it gets better, but I just hope that it doesn't like. Uh, I just hope it doesn't get bad. That's all I said. That's all I could say about it. This is not good news, but um, I'm just hoping it doesn't get horrible. Hope the news doesn't get worse than that. We're able to work through all this stuff that our new president is implementing. Only time will tell. Uh, but yeah, those are my thoughts on the China limiting the releases of American films. Sorry to leave off on a somber note, but yeah, it's very unfortunate what's going on right now. But how do you guys feel about the China limiting the releases of films? Do you think that's going to affect the movie going industry going forward? What franchises do you think will be able to make it to China? Which ones do you think they're not going to play in China? Do you think we'll be able? Do you think the release, the makings of blockbusters and bigger budget films are going to stop, or they're going to limit that, or do you think that's going to affect the independent films, the smaller films? Let me know your thoughts down below.